Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm just here to bring you my latest junk journal. So this one actually has already sold, so thank you Jill, and this video really is to kind of give Jill obviously you know, a better look at the journal, which obviously she was only able to kind of view you know, on the photos on my Etsy shop. So you know, hopefully this will kind of give you a better idea of you know, what the journal looks like. So basically it's a soft cover journal. It's made using an envelope, large manila envelope, and the envelope itself has been covered with coffee stained scrapbook papers, and it's all been kind of distress inked around the edges. It's got this cute like journaling spot or journal tag label thing there that I've just popped on, and then I've Mod Podged over the entire thing, front and back, just to kind of make it a bit more, you know, durable, so you can wipe it clean and what have you. And then it's got some lace trim here down the side, and it's just got this fabric ruffle just over the you know, signature, and the same at the back, so lace and then the obviously other side of that fabric ruffle. And the journal itself is bound with this lace trim. The lace trim is detachable, so it doesn't have to kind of be lingering around the book, so you can just kind of put that to one side. Going inside the book, on the front of the inside cover, we've got a doily stuck down on here. It's been covered, sorry, in coffee stained scrapbook paper. It's got a doily going down, it's got some lace trim, it's got some other lace trim down here, it's got a bit of faux diamante down the side, and then it's got one of my little stamped images onto the fabric that's been stitched onto some hessian there. It's got a little leaf and some decoupage napkin there onto some sheet music. And then it's got a little paper flower that's just been deconstructed from some of those. It wasn't a mulberry rose, but that kind of thing. And then a little fabric flower that I made there just from lace and layered it up with a pearl centre. I'm not sure how great the light is. Kind of when I move around and can see in the camera, sometimes it looks like it's doing okay, and sometimes it kind of looks a bit glary. So I'm hoping that this is actually coming out okay. And then here there's just a little fold out kind of like booklet thing that's there. Excuse me, I've just got a sneeze coming, but hopefully it's going to go. And that's kind of attached with this bind wire, and it's done like a policy envelope fastening, so with an eyelet and just some kind of card there kind of holding that shut. So that's that. And then on the facing page, this is a DL sized envelope. I'm not sure whether they called that everywhere actually. I can't get this wire now to kind of go back round without kind of popping up. There we go. Yeah, I'm not sure whether they're called DL size envelopes everywhere, but that's what they're called over here in the UK. And on here I have popped scrapbook paper and then one of those beautiful images from the British Wildflowers Ladybird book. So I did show in my tutorial for the envelope page booklet thing the Ladybird books that I used for this particular journal, and it contained lots of really beautiful pictures, and I mean, it's all kind of British Wildflowers it's called. They're really beautiful colours. I mean, they're kind of vibrant, but at the same time they're quite muted. So I know that's like a contradiction in terms, but really, really, really pretty. So I've just popped that on there, and then I've put a bit of lace trim at the bottom, and then this organza bow tied around the envelope just for extra kind of detail really. And then I've made it a side pocket here. So tucked in there is just a little image here of this kind of vintage I think it's like a fire truck pulled by a horse, and that's just plain coffee dyed cardstock that's been mounted onto to kind of look like a photograph. That just tucks in like that, And then here I've just got a large kind of tag that tucks in here with the thumb hole, and that's just scrapbook paper. And then it's got a wooden tile here at the top. It's plain onto manila folder, file folder on the back, and it's got a calendar here with some journaling space, and then that's forming a pocket for a bit of just coffee dyed paper there that just flips out, so more kind of journaling room there. That just goes back in like that, and that just tucks in. And then going over the page here, I've got obviously it's the back side of the double-sided scrapbook paper, and what I've done is layered up some different elements. So I've got some other scrapbook paper. This one's the same as what's on the front cover, and layered on top of that I've got some cardstock with some vintage book page and this beautiful stamped image here, and then kind of tucked behind is some coffee dyed paper that kind of folds around, and that's actually glued in. So that's how that works. Obviously if you didn't like that, you could probably just tear it here on the fold and kind of take it off and not have it, but I quite liked that. And then this here is a little pocket inside this cardstock, and you've just got, this is one of the bingo printables, and it's got a little ticket printable here, and then I've layered it up onto some this was actually kind of from a book here, and it's all been coffee dyed. And then I have just popped on some sewing pattern with a flower and stapled that across the middle there. Just thought that looked quite pretty. So that just tucks into the side. Just be careful that I don't kind of attach it with the sewing paper thing. And then in the side I've got another pocket here with the scrapbook paper, and then I've just got a stamped image here backed onto some coffee stained cardstock, and this is actually really sturdy card, this particular cardstock. And then I've just got a little stamped image of a postcard and a bit of washi tape and some lace trim, and then it's just been stitched slightly on the sewing machine there. That just goes in that side. And then you've just got a bit of fabric ruffle down the bottom. And then here on this page, again, it's some patterned paper, really beautiful paper, and I've just got a corner tuck spot here. So this would have been like one of the items in one of my kits, and it's just been layered up with various elements. It's got some lace trim, some faux de monte, a little flower and a pearl centre, a journaling spot, and then live well, laugh often, love much. It's got some fabric trim down the side. And then in here, acting as a kind of pocket, just got this tag here that pulls out. It's just, again, some more of that beautiful scrapbook paper, just backed onto the file folder. And then it's got a stamped image here acting as a pocket. And I've just got this gorgeous stamped image that's been backed onto some coffee dyed cardstock, like that. So that just tucks in. And then going over the page, obviously this is double-sided scrapbook paper, so this is the rear of that. And then what I've done is I've made a little pocket from the DL sized envelopes. So again, I've just kind of covered that with some scrapbook paper, folded up the flap, more scrapbook paper on there, and then what I did was I've cut a doily in half and then in half again, or roughly in half again, and stuck the doily down. So I've got a piece of doily on this top bit, piece of doily on this bottom bit, and some lace trim going across. I've got this gorgeous vintage perfume label, and then a little butterfly that I just fussy cut out of some other paper. So this is acting as a pocket here, so I just made a little tag just from some file folder, and then I just stuck on some coffee dyed scrapbook paper with a bit of doily, stamped image here of this gorgeous ballerina, and then just here I've put some lace on the corner. That just tucks in like that. And then on the side I've also made it a pocket by just sticking it down on three sides, and I've just got here a little piece of vintage ephemera, And this is just some of the ephemera that I bought recently, that I'm sure I've kind of mentioned several times before. And then here at the top, I've just got a little ruffle of fabric, and then held on with a bulb pin, I've got a little tiny tag that I've just punched out with a teeny tag punch, which I've had for years and years. It was one of the first punches that I ever bought. And then I haven't used it for a really long time, and started using my tiny tags die from Tim Holtz. But actually this is far quicker than obviously getting out my big shot machine and things and cutting them. So I've just punched out a few of those, and I've just literally poked it kind of with one of those pokey tool things, and hooked it onto the bulb pin along with one of those flowers that this has just been taken from a mulberry rose that I've taken apart, and I just kind of distress inked that a little bit. Then I've got some plain paper for journaling. It's just been stamped in the corners, and this has all been coffee dyed. Another piece. And then on the back of this one, I've actually got here this gorgeous little poem, or a verse, and at least, and this is from the vintage book, one of the vintage books that Laura very kindly gifted me. So it's just literally a little verse from that beautiful vintage book, and I've just glued that onto this page, which I thought looked quite nice. And then here I've just got doily. Here another piece of coffee dyed paper, and then here some sheet music just forming a page. Now on this page, really stunning, I think, these kind of colour combinations. It's this gorgeous, really pretty teal perhaps colour, and I've just popped on a stamped image here. This is one of my Crafty Individuals stamps, and then I formed a pocket with a wage envelope, which I've just stuck down and left the whole envelope stuck down, layered it up with some scrapbook paper and another stamped image from the Crafty Individuals stamps, stamped in the corners, and then I've just glued it down to the page on two sides. So that forms a pocket here for this tag that I've just made, and that just literally, it's just layered onto some plain coffee dyed card. That just slots in there. It's got some lace trim at the top, and then matching the lace trim on the tag, you've got some of this gorgeous dark blue lace trim down the side, and it's just got a bit of faux diamante going there, and another flower from the mulberry flowers. And then over the page, on this page, I've got another kind of fabric lace flower that I've made. So I've just layered up various different laces and fabrics and things, including the dark blue lace. And then instead of putting a kind of center in the flower, I've actually taken a flower from some like flower trim and just placed that in the middle instead, and then pressed it in with the nib of my glue gun. So it kind of is flower shaped, if you know what I mean. And then I've put a couple of bits of lace as kind of hanging down ribbons, I suppose, coming out of that flower. So I thought that looked quite pretty. And then here again, this would be an item kind of from one of my kits. It's just a corner tuck spot. And I've got here the seasons. That was just cut from some music, sheet music paper. Just distress inked it all. It's all been coffee dyed. And then a stamped image there, some lace and some faux diamante. Just got a bit of fabric trim down the bottom. And then inside there, I've just got a tag that I've made just with various layered up elements. And here's some vintage doily, piece of a vintage doily, and a little flower there. And then a little tiny bit of stitching there on the sewing machine, just there. And this is backed onto coffee dyed cardstock. This was actually some card from a book, so it has got kind of a little section of writing down there. And then on the facing page, I've just got here a little fold out flip. Oops. And again, this is just some coffee dyed scrapbook paper. Thought it was quite nice to have this doily, and what I did was obviously folded the doily over. So on here, on the kind of underside of the fold down, you've actually got another part of the doily, which actually I thought looked really quite nice. Normally I would have cut that off and just had it on one side, but actually I thought it's quite nice to have that on the inside of the fold down. And then I've just got this stamped image of this bird. And then here I've just got some more of that lace trim. And here I've just got a butterfly that I've fussy cut out and glossy accented that. I'm not sure whether you'd be able to see that really, but that's just on there. And then here, that's acting as a pocket for this kind of tag, which has just got some, this is actually stamped onto some manila envelope. And then I've got a stamped image here. It's all been stitched on the sewing machine, so you can see that here. And a piece of lace trim and another one of those little mulberry roses. That just tucks in there. And then here I've just got another stamped image on some buff coloured card, which also acts as a little pocket, just for some coffee dyed paper there. It just tucks in like that. And you've just got some lace trim down the bottom. And then going over the page, this is the booklet page that I did in my tutorial. So if you followed along with that and kind of watched the tutorial, this is how it now looks in the journal. So I shall untie it. Obviously I won't kind of bore you with the details, because if you watch the tutorial you already know kind of what's on here. And then it folds, and obviously you've got this gorgeous image and the little booklet here like that, and there's your string obviously, and it's all glued down onto the page here, and then just some lace trim going down the edge and a little tiny bow here to the side. And then here inside the envelope I've just got a little printable here, just coffee dyed, and that just pops in like that. I won't bore you by tying it back up. And then here, this page has been left blank for journaling. Just got some stamped corners and paper clipped onto there with an altered paper clip. I have just got some lace on this paper clip and a little kind of butterfly there, and that's kind of it. I've just got, now, I'm not sure whether this is a glassine bag. I don't think it is, because I'm assuming that the glassine bags are kind of the wax-proof bags. This is just a paper bag. I have kind of looked around for glassine bags in the shops over here. I don't seem to be able to find them. So this is just a paper bag that I've picked up from a shop here. Just wanted to give it a go really and see whether I liked them. And so I coffee dyed it, and it all coffee stained really quite well. Unfortunately it was quite fragile, so it has got a couple of kind of small tears in it. I mean, that doesn't worry me, but I want to kind of point them out. It's not got anything in it currently, but obviously you could pop things in there. And then on this side I've just folded it over so it's kind of like a booklet. So obviously if you didn't want to put things in there, you could stitch some pages in and make it like a little fold out booklet. And you could actually cut this edge very carefully and make it a kind of pocket into the booklet. But I've just stuck on one of those images from the British Wildflowers book and then popped on a little butterfly there. So that just clips on here. And then going over the page, I've just got here a little sentiment and, excuse me, a little thread of glue there. My love for you is a journey starting at forever and ending at never. And that's by Anonymous. But I thought that was quite lovely. So I just stuck that on. I thought it went quite nicely with the colours. Bit of greaseproof paper for the crinkle. And then here, obviously, some more coffee dyed paper. And on this page, this again would be like an item from my kits. So you've got a little corner pocket here, and it's got layered up elements. It's got some lace and some faux de monte. And then what I've done is layered it up with another sheet of scrapbook paper, so it's kind of double layered. So you've got a double pocket. So in the front tiny pocket, you've just got a couple of little tags. This one is from a printable, and I've just literally glued it onto, again, another punched out tag, funny enough, from again another old punch of mine. And then I've just, you know, put one of those hole reinforcers. And then this one is a stamped tag shape that I have obviously cut out, and I've just put one of those fussy cut butterflies on and just held them together with a bulb pin. There you go, in there. And then behind the large pocket, so again this is that stunning paper that's actually on the cover, I did this before on my custom journal that I made for Vicky, and I did it with a birth certificate with I think it was a butterfly that I had printed on to kind of acetate. So this is very similar thing. It's a vintage Invoice. This is from 1946, and again it's some of that ephemera that I bought recently. And then I just literally printed this gorgeous printable here on this transparency. Not sure, let me just put it here so you can see kind of the pretty image. Whoops, without the, for goodness sake, without the invoice behind it. So that's what the image looks like. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And it's just been printed onto a transparency there. And then I have just attached it here to the invoice with these eyelets. There, and obviously on the back then you've got this whole sheet for journaling, but on the front you've got this rather interesting piece of kind of ephemera with this beautiful image there, like that. So I quite like doing those. I'm going to use them more. So that's that. Now here is the centre of the signature. I have not put anything onto the strings on this one because I thought there was quite a bit going on this page anyway, and quite a bit of kind of threads, because I've got a tie bit going on here and I've got this ribbon here, so I didn't really want kind of more things hanging around. But obviously, you know, if Jill wanted to, she could obviously glue things onto the ends of the strings. So I've got lace trim going down either side of the papers, and then what I've done, I've made another one of those with the DL size envelopes with an image there from the British Wildflowers book, and some scrapbook paper here which obviously coordinates nicely with the opposite page. I've just tied some ribbon around it just for interest really. Really pretty. I mean, these images from this book are just so stunning. And then here I've just made a little booklet, and again this has just been made from literally some manila envelope, and then I've just layered up some scrapbook paper and the word wonderful on there, and I've just dress inked around the edges and obviously put some coffee dyed paper inside and just stapled it there in the middle. So that just tucks in there. And then on the side I've just got here a little printable here. So that just tucks in. Oh, and I've just got a piece of doily here as well. That just tucks in there. And then on the facing page, I've just got this little sticker here, which I just thought coordinated nicely. And then I've just got this tie up kind of flip here. So if I just untie that, it just literally opens like this, and you've obviously got the inside of that double-sided paper. So that's that one. I won't bore you by tying it up. That's acting as a pocket where I have just got literally, this is an envelope, one of those long kind of narrow envelopes, which I've just literally stuck on an image from the British Wildflowers book on the front. I have left the back plain, and obviously I've left the inside plain. It's all been coffee dyed, so it all looks quite nice and vintage, but I thought quite good for lots of journaling in there. I haven't stapled any extra pages or anything because obviously this is kind of quite a tight pocket, and obviously being an envelope and having this image, it was kind of, I mean, it's not chunky of course, but I think it would get too thick if it had some extra pages in, so I just left it like that. And then above here I've just got a stamped image of a kind of postcard going on here, and I've just made a little pocket at the top where I've just popped in another kind of journaling card there. And then here you'll have to just excuse because I'm suspecting there might be some noise in a minute because I can just hear the front door opening. So it's either my husband coming back with my daughter, or else it's my son coming back from school. So I'm just kind of signalling to him to shut the door so that there's not noise. So it was my husband with my daughter. Here there's just more of that beautiful scrapbook paper, just coffee dyed. I left that plain because actually the journal was getting pretty chunky by this point. And I just absolutely love the pattern on this page, on this paper. So yeah, I just kind of thought it would not be any harm to leave that, so I've left that. And then here I've just got more coffee dyed paper, the other side of that greaseproof paper, more coffee dyed paper. I've just popped a bit of doily on there, and same there. And then here I've just got a belly band on this page, and then I've got a piece of lace which actually is also another belly band, so could easily pop some more things into there. And I've glued kind of half a doily down onto the page, and I've just popped a little bow at the top that I've just distressing slightly. And then tucked in there, this is some more of that vintage ephemera that I purchased recently, and that just literally just been coffee dyed and pops in there. I think I have said before, but these pieces of vintage ephemera, they're not the originals, they are copies, because well, I mean, I kind of would like to hang on to them, obviously, for, you know, if I want to alter them or use them again, but also the originals are quite smelly, so to be honest, they're kind of better copying them and using copies of them. So on this page, this probably turned out my favourite page in the whole journal, because I just think these colours look so striking. It's obviously, you know, the fact that it's kind of picking up the green from the British Wildflowers book. So basically what I've got here is a little flip here that just opens up like that. And again, that is such pretty paper. And that just tucks in here behind this ticket on the buff coloured card. I've got a little flower here that this one's been coffee stained as well. So it's just taken from a mulberry rose, but it's actually been coffee stained. This is forming a little pocket here, and you've just got a little fold out flip, which I have formed a little kind of pad inside as well. Just on some coffee dyed papers. Oh no, and I realised that I actually have folded up one of those edges. So it's still folded, it just needs snipping down there. So I'll try and remember to do that before I post it off. And then you've got some lace trim down here. I've used a bit of zigzag stitch just for interest down there. And that just tucks in like that. So I'm not going to tuck that back in yet. I'm just going to show you kind of what else is here. So here I've got this gorgeous corset advert or invoice stamped image. And then up the top I've got some of that beautiful dark blue lace, and then this gorgeous flower, which was a fabric flower I've had in my stash for quite a time. Oops, sorry, I knocked the tripod. And it's going from kind of green to kind of blue colour, which I just thought picked up the colours from this page just perfectly. So I don't know whether that's kind of showing up really on camera, but I thought that looked so pretty. And then, so what I did, I folded that flower over because it was pretty, you know, ginormous. So folded it over, and then I've glued it on and glued on another kind of paper flower here with a little centre. And then on the facing page, I've got some lace trim down the side, which again, obviously kind of matches this. I've got here a belly band. Sorry, I'm not quite sure. I think I've said this a lot of times before. My camera just suddenly flicks off sometimes. And actually it comes up with random messages, so you know, it's not always the same message. But anyway, so here I've got a belly band here with some scrapbook paper, and then on the belly band I have formed a little pocket here using, I mean, it's smaller than one of those Wage envelopes, it's very teeny envelope, which I've just layered up some scrapbook paper, some more scrapbook paper, and then again folded the little edge up. So it's exactly the same concept as these larger ones, but it's just a teeny envelope. So inside there I have tucked a stamped image here of a ticket, because obviously that's a pocket, and then I've popped here this green flower, which I thought just picked up the colour green from obviously this image, and then I've put a little fabric flower in the middle that's from some trim. And then inside the belly band I've just put a page from the book, which I just think makes the page, to be honest, because oh, I really love this page. I just think these colours look so pretty together. So yeah, so that's kind of tucked in to the belly band. And on the belly band itself, under there, I've just popped two doilies. Well, I've cut them, but they're not kind of exactly in half. So a piece there and a piece here. And then a ticket up there. So that just goes back in here like that. And then going over the page, I've got here some more of that teal, you know, the other side of that teal paper. And what I've done, I've layered up some scrapbook paper and then some card with layered up vintage book page and a stamped image. Got a butterfly here, just stamped onto some cardstock and just glued that down. And then a couple of postcard stamped images. I've got some fabric ruffle down the bottom with some faux diamante trim. And then what I did, I took this and I've just glued it across the middle. I did do this once before in a journal. I can't remember which journal it was now, but so basically what you've got is a tuck spot kind of either side of here. So in the bottom, oh, and I've also got this little mulberry flower here that just is the exact same colour really as the paper. I've just got this cute little book and that's just got this little bit of trim tying it up, and this again is just a manila envelope. It's got a bit of greaseproof paper and then some coffee dyed paper there, and it's just been stapled. And on the front it's just got a couple of layered up images and a butterfly that's just been stamped and embossed onto some vellum. So that's that. And oops, and that trim obviously just goes around there. I left the trim really quite long because I quite liked the way it was all curly, but I mean obviously if you didn't like that you could just, you know, cut that down. It doesn't have to stay that long. So that tucks there, and then obviously the other side is again a tuck spot, so I've just popped on a little teeny tag with some twine. So that's that. And then here I've just got the other side of the sheet music, more coffee dyed paper, the other side of the doily. And then here I've just got a large tag. Again, it's held on with an altered paper clip. So this paper clip's been created using scrapbook paper, a bit of that vintage doily, a hot air balloon stamped, and then it's got a bulb pin with another one of those tiny tags there. And that's just holding this really large tag on. So this tag's just using various different elements that have been used throughout the journal. And on the back it's just plain file folder, so plenty of room there for journaling. And that just paper clips back on to the side like that. And then obviously I left these pretty plain other than a bit of stamping. And then here on this page I have got an envelope which has been glued down on the other side from the flap. And this particular envelope, what I did was I've just glued down two corners, or two corner pieces perhaps I should say, formed from scrapbook paper. So basically what you've got then are two little tuck spots or pockets. And I just put in another image from the book, which I just thought looked really pretty. So the envelope looks pretty nice on its own, and you can obviously journal under there and then hide your journaling. So for secret journaling, hide it with the image there from the book. So I quite like that. And then here it's just plain on that scrapbook paper for journaling, and just a couple of tiny images down here and a bit of lace and a flower. And then in here you've just got a little printed image, whoops, going in there. And then going over the page we've just got obviously the rest of that scrapbook paper, the flap from the envelope, which I have just decorated up with some doily, a little kind of journaling spot, a kind of vintage coin and a little flower, and then just got some fabric trim down the side. Hopefully you can see that. And that's just acting as a tuck spot where I've just put a little a little pad formed from just some coffee dyed paper scraps really. And then it's just got some scrapbook paper, and it's just been stapled there, and got some lace trim across the top. And then on this page, I've just got, again, this would be another item from kind of a kit, is just a corner tuck spot, and it's got various elements layered up. It's got some lace trim, some faux de monte, and what have you. And down the bottom, it's just got some fabric trim, and then a journaling spot here. And then I've just created this large tag, which love this tag. It's just got some teal coloured scrapbook paper, some fabric here, and it's all been kind of just glued on. It's got some vintage book page, and then this printed image of all these different coloured butterflies, and then I've just got the word inspired, and that's kind of glued onto this net here, so just for a bit of interest really. And then it's just got this fabric tab that's just been stitched on the sewing machine, and it's just been all glued onto the file folder. So that's that. I thought obviously the butterflies look quite nice because there's obviously the butterfly there which picks it up. And now we're at the back of the book. There is just a banner here. So again, this would be a similar item to what would possibly be in a kit. And it's just got layered up items. It's got some lace trim and a bit of diamante. And then it's just got a little journaling card there, which is just basically a stamped image onto some cardstock. That just tucks under. And then on the very final page, I actually have got some Hessian trim here. Not that you can actually see it anymore because it's kind of been hidden really by everything, but there was some Hessian trim. And then what I did was stitched over this gorgeous teal coloured kind of, it's not velvet, but it's very soft anyway. It feels kind of like velvet. So I stitched that around onto the Hessian. I stitched on this lace trim at the top with a zigzag. I did then glue it down further because actually it just happened that it was kind of at the wrong place. So it was lifting kind of against this kind of teal coloured fabric. So I've glued that down a bit. And then I've put a couple of bits of faux diamante there, just for kind of interest. Bit of fabric trim down the bottom and some faux diamante there. Bit of lace there stuck across there. And then I've just got a little bow that I made literally stuck here. And then I've got another one of my little, you know, lacy flowers. And that's kind of got different coloured laces and things in there. And that is acting as a pocket, which you've got a little booklet, which has just got some doily, a bit of lace stitched on. And then you open it and it's just got some little coffee dyed pages inside there, and the back's just plain, and that just slots in there. And then on the side, which I have done this a few times in similar journals, where I've just cut the envelope open just at the back, so you've got a huge pocket there for lots of, you know, tickets, ephemera, letters, you know, what have you, that you can pop into there. And then that's it, we're at the back. So it's a pretty full-on chunky journal, and yeah, really kind of pleased how it turned out. And actually I think I forgot to mention on the front, but there's also this little dangly which has just been pinned on here because you may or may not like it. It was just from an old necklace of mine actually, so it's not vintage or anything like that, but it kind of looks vintage because it's kind of this, you know, weird kind of colour. And I just pinned it on because I don't always like kind of the noise that these kinds of things make. It's a bit of a sweeping statement, and I don't want to commit to that because obviously I might suddenly decide I love the dangly charms and things. But yeah, I mean, kind of if you didn't like it, you can obviously just literally unpin that. It's just pinned on with a rusted safety pin. So it's, you know, you can leave it on or take it off, completely your choice really. So yeah, that's kind of the journal, and I'm just going to call this journal British Wildflowers because obviously, you know, that was what it was utilising, that book. So I hope you like it, and you know, if you do, give us a thumbs up. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who supported my channel and my Etsy shop. Really am so grateful, and yeah, it really is amazing. So thank you so much. You know, I'm constantly, you know, in a state of kind of excitement and overwhelmed, you know, by people's kind comments and things. So thank you ever so much. Really appreciate everything. So yeah, thank you very much, and hope you all have a lovely evening. So thanks a lot, thanks for watching, and see you again soon. Thanks, bye.